I never considered myself the overly romantic type, but that day, I wanted to do something special for my wife, Claire. We'd been married for 10 years, and she was returning from a week-long business trip. Claire worked in corporate sales, so these trips were common, but this time felt different. She had been distant lately. Less texting, fewer calls, and an edge in her tone I couldn't quite place. I brushed it off as work stress. Or at least I wanted to believe that. So, I decided to plan a surprise. A candlelit dinner, her favorite wine, and a playlist of the songs we used to dance to when we were younger. I spent hours cleaning the house, setting the table, and preparing her favorite meal, thinking about the look on her face when she walked in the door. I was determined to remind her of everything we'd built together, to rekindle whatever spark might have dimmed. Around 4 p.m., I got a notification on my phone. It was from our shared cloud storage. It wasn't unusual. Claire often uploaded files or photos from her work trips, but this time something felt off. The thumbnail was of a video, and the title was just her name followed by a series of numbers. Curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked on it. The video started with a shot of a hotel room. My stomach tightened as I realized it wasn't just any hotel room. It was the one Claire had texted me about earlier in the week, the one she'd gushed about for having the perfect view of the city. But it wasn't the view of the city that caught my attention. It was her voice, laughing. A sound I once loved, now laced with something foreign. And then, another voice. A man's voice. I paused the video, my hands trembling. My mind raced, conjuring excuses. Maybe it was a colleague. Maybe it was innocent. But deep down, I knew. I pressed play again, my breath hitching as the camera panned to show Claire, seated on the bed, leaning in too close to a man I'd never seen before. His hand brushed her cheek, and she didn't pull away. My world crumbled in that moment. Every memory, every promise, every plan we had for our future. It all felt like a lie. I wanted to turn it off, to erase what I'd just seen, but I couldn't stop watching. The video wasn't explicit, but it didn't need to be. The intimacy between them was undeniable. I sat there, numb, as the realization washed over me. While I was here, pouring my heart into making our home a place she'd want to return to, she was out there with someone else. My surprise dinner suddenly felt like a cruel joke. But it wasn't over. As I stared at the screen, the notification popped up again. Another upload. Another video. My hands hovered over the mouse, hesitation battling with the gnawing need for the truth. The second video had the same hotel room backdrop, but this time the camera seemed to be positioned on a dresser. I clicked play. My pulse was pounding so loudly in my ears that I barely registered the sound at first. Then came her voice again, softer this time, intimate. "Did you miss me?" she asked, laughing lightly. It wasn't a laugh I'd heard in months. And then his reply, the same man from before. "Always, Claire. More than you know." They weren't in the frame yet, but I heard movement, footsteps, shuffling. My stomach churned as the realization hit. This wasn't a random video. It was intentional. Someone had recorded this. They had planned this. And now it was sitting there on our shared cloud account like some sick trophy. My vision blurred with a mix of anger and heartbreak as I skipped ahead, unable to stomach the drawn-out conversation. They entered the frame eventually, her, sitting on the edge of the bed, her hand resting casually on his thigh. The man leaned down, whispered something I couldn't make out, and then I shut it off. I couldn't watch anymore, but my curiosity wasn't done punishing me. Who was he? I didn't recognize him, but something about the way she smiled at him, like he was her whole world, made my stomach lurch. That was a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in a long time. I needed answers, and I needed them now. Grabbing my phone, I searched for the hotel on her itinerary. I knew the chain. It was one we'd stayed at before on family trips, and after a few tries, I managed to get through to the front desk. My heart was pounding as I gave them her name and asked if she'd checked out yet. "She left early this morning, sir," the clerk said. "But her reservation was originally through Sunday." "Did she check out alone?" The words felt foreign in my mouth. There was a pause. "I'm afraid I can't disclose." "Please." My voice cracked. I need to know. A longer pause this time. Then, in a hushed tone, the clerk replied, "No, she wasn't alone." I hung up without saying anything else, my mind reeling. She was supposed to come home tonight. Why had she checked out early? And why hadn't she mentioned it to me? That's when the notification hit me like a punch to the gut. Another upload. This time it wasn't a video. It was a photo. A candid shot of her and the man, arms wrapped around each other, grinning like they didn't have a care in the world. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. In the background, on a nearby table, was a small velvet box. Open. And inside was a diamond ring. I sat there, staring at the screen, the photo burning into my brain. A diamond ring. My stomach twisted. Was it his? Had he proposed to her? Was she leaving me? My thoughts spiraled as my world unraveled. I felt sick, angry, desperate. But more than anything, I felt the crushing weight of betrayal. The sound of her car pulling into the driveway snapped me out of my daze. She was early. She wasn't supposed to be home until late tonight. The timing felt deliberate, like she wanted to get ahead of whatever I might have discovered. My chest tightened as I shoved the laptop shut and stood up, the room spinning around me. The door opened, and there she was, Claire, my wife of 10 years, stepping into our home like nothing had happened. She looked tired but serene, dressed in jeans and a loose sweater. In her hand, she carried her suitcase. I noticed she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. "Hey, babe," she said casually, kicking off her shoes. "You're home early." I couldn't speak. My throat felt like it was closing. Every word I wanted to say got stuck somewhere between my brain and my mouth. She walked into the kitchen, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. "I'm starving," she continued, rummaging through the fridge. The flight was a nightmare. They overbooked. And, "Who is he?" I blurted out. She froze, a container of leftover pasta in her hand. Slowly, she turned to face me, her expression a mix of confusion and something else. Panic. "What are you talking about?" she asked, feigning innocence. "You know exactly what I'm talking about." My voice trembled as I grabbed my laptop and opened the photo, shoving the screen toward her. Who is he? Claire. Her face drained of color. She set the container down, her hands trembling. Where did you get that?" "It doesn't matter where I got it," I snapped. "What matters is what you've been doing behind my back." "Who is he? How long has this been going on?" Her lips parted like she was about to speak, but no words came out. She looked like a deer caught in headlights, her gaze darting between me and the laptop. "Don't lie to me, Claire," I said, my voice rising. "I saw the videos. I know everything." For a moment I thought she might deny it. But then, to my surprise, she slumped against the counter, burying her face in her hands. "I didn't want you to find out like this," she said quietly. "Find out what?" I demanded, my anger boiling over. "That you've been cheating on me? That you've been lying to my face while I've been sitting here like a fool, planning some romantic dinner for you?" Her shoulders shook, and I realized she was crying. "It's not what you think," she whispered. "Not what I think?" I barked out a bitter laugh. "You were with another man, Claire. There's a ring in that picture. What part of this am I supposed to misunderstand?" She looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't cheat on you," she said. "Not physically. It was emotional. I know that doesn't make it better. But, oh, so that makes it okay?" I interrupted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You're in love with someone else, but as long as you didn't sleep with him, I should just—" "What? Forgive you?" She shook her head, wiping her tears. "You don't understand. I felt so lost. You've been so distant lately, so caught up in work, and don't you dare put this on me," I growled. "I've done nothing but love you, support you, and this is how you repay me." She opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, her phone buzzed on the counter. We both looked at it at the same time. The screen lit up with a message. "Let me know when you're free to talk." I miss you.
D.
I stared at her, my heart shattering into 1,000 pieces. So he's still waiting in the wings, huh? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence spoke volumes. I want you out, I said, my voice cold and final. Her eyes widened. What? You heard me, I said. Pack your things and get out. Go stay with him for all I care. Just get out of my house. Please let me explain, she begged, reaching for my arm. Pulled away. There's nothing left to explain, Claire. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. For the first time since she walked in, her composure broke completely. She sobbed as she stumbled up the stairs to pack her things. I stood there, rooted to the spot, numb and hollow. When she finally left, suitcase in hand, she paused at the door. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I didn't respond. Couldn't. I just watched as she walked out of my life. As the door clicked shut, I sat down on the couch, staring blankly at the mess of romantic plans I'd made. The candles, the wine, the playlist. All of it mocked me now. And then, like the final twist of a knife, my phone buzzed. It was a message from her number. Except it wasn't from Claire. It was from him. Thank you for letting her go. She deserves better.